Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie, and this is Avery.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on. It finally worked.
Yeah, it took us a minute, but here we are.
The hurricane messed us up. That's okay.
Yes.
We'll be gracious. I'm just kidding. But thanks for coming on.
I'm so excited. I'm so honored to have been asked.
So tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, so my name's Avery Thorsland. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. Technically Hendersonville. It's like this small town right next to Asheville, but I always say Henderson or Asheville because no one knows Hendersonville.
Yeah.
I went to high school in Hendersonville. I wasn't gonna go to college, but then I was like last minute touring schools, and my parents were like, just try Furman because they both went here.
Okay, sweet.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just tour Furman. Toured it, loved it because it was like so beautiful,
Right.
and I was like, okay, I guess I'll go here. So I came here. I have an older sister. Her name's Ryan. She's 22.
Sweet.
She's a yoga instructor and a nanny.
Fun.
She didn't go to college. And then my younger brother, his name's Spencer. He's a senior in high school, and he wants to go to Tennessee Knoxville.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You're a sophomore, right?
I'm a junior.
Junior.
Yeah.
Okay, so we met in the gym,
Yes, Lily in the gym.
and then we have a class together.
Well, I knew who you were because of class, and I think I met you briefly at FCA or something.
Yes.
And then when I saw you in the gym, I was like, I hate when I like know who someone is and I don't say hi.
Right.
So I'm gonna say hi.
And then it was perfect because then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I know. Like,
Yes.
because then you like know somebody, but you're in class, and like I don't say much in class.
Yeah.
Like no one says.
And we
much
sit on
in class.
opposite ends of the room, so I was
And
like,
so.
and you're
good.
super close to Aspen.
So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna say hi to her. It took me a second though. I was like, what if she doesn't know who I am and this is gonna be
No, I
embarrassing?
did. I like kept looking. I'm like,
okay, good.
that girl is so cute. And then I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh,
wait,
you
I know
look so
her.
cute.
And then.
Okay, good.
Something
Well,
else,
I'm
like,
glad I said
perfect.
hi then, because now here we are.
So thanks for saying that.
Of course.
I was about to say something else. I think I don't know. I was gonna say that. I don't know what I thought. Something about the gym, but I'm like, I just said that. Okay, tell us about your testimony.
Okay, so let me think. Do you want like testimony part or like story? Like whole life story or like short testimony? Like what's the vibe you're looking for?
I don't know.
Just like
You don't
whatever.
have to give your whole life story, but like you can make it story. Like
Okay.
you don't have to like be like I was born this day.
Okay.
But like
start from Adam and Eve.
yes,
I'm just
right.
kidding. Okay. So testimony, I guess. I'm gonna say what I said in my camp interview. For my
Perfect.
testimony. I grew up in a household that was very like church and Easter, or church on Christmas and Easter and like things like that. You know, I think there's like a name for it. People like say.
Yes, I don't know what it is.
Me
But
neither,
it's like a
but
little phrase.
Yes. We were very much that.
Okay.
My parents like talked about God and like things like that, but like that was the basis of like my religion, I guess, was like just like knowing that there was a God and like honestly kind of just like being afraid of like going to hell. So I like remember being like 12 and I went to this like camp that I think it was like a Mormon camp or something. I don't know why I was there. But I remember hearing this sermon that was like talking about hell and I was like so afraid of hell that I was like, okay, I have to become a Christian right now because I'm so afraid of going to hell.
Yeah.
So I had that moment and then was kind of like, okay, I'm saved, like I'm good. I live the rest of my life,
Check
whatever.
box.
Yeah. And so it was very baseline faith, Christmas and Easter. If you asked me if I was Christian, I'd say like, yeah, I believed in a God, like I believed in something.
Yeah.
Then I loved high school. I was super close to my sister in high school though, and she had a horrible high school experience, just rough things happened and all this stuff. When she graduated, she decided she wasn't going to go to college because she wanted to stay home, couldn't do it. Her mental health wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
She really struggled with mental health like my entire life. And so my senior year, terrible things just happened to her, and she ended up having to go to the psych ward for a while just because she was like really struggling.
Yeah.
And so she was there for like 2 weeks, and I like distinctly remember during that period of time, like my parents were so sad, I was so sad, and I was like mad at myself because like I didn't know that she was struggling so heavily with like this thing, and like I wasn't there for her and like all this stuff. And during that, I kind of lost all belief of like a God, because I was like, if something existed, like this wouldn't have happened for her. Like if God actually loved us, this wouldn't happen. So I like kind of let go of all beliefs of all things. Then I wasn't going to go to college because I was so afraid to leave her and leave my family. But then I was in therapy at the time, and my therapist was like, you should go to school. So I was like, okay, I'll go to school. So I just decided to come to Furman. When I came to Furman, I immediately was like, okay, I want to be this cool, awesome person that everyone likes, like all these things. And like, I'm going to be in a sorority. I'm going to do all this stuff. And I'm just going to be so awesome, whatever. Immediately went into all of what you would think the college experience would be of like the drinking, the smoking, all the things. And I thought I was like living this like awesome college experience. But when I was coming home, I think I was realizing like how sad I was and how like unfulfilling that lifestyle was, and just like how miserable I was living in it.
Yeah.
And while I was coming home, my sister was like doing amazing, which was like crazy because like they told us she would be suicidal her whole life. Like they're like, she'll never be off meds, she'll never be able to live alone, like things like that. But I was coming home and she was like slowly weaning off her meds, and I was like, what the heck? Like this is so awesome. Like how is this happening? And she was just doing so much better. And when I would come home, I would fight with my mom a lot because she would just like, this is not who I raised. Like I remember her being like, you've lost all your joy, like all the time. She would always say that. And I would just be like, well, if you're just gonna like ridicule me when I come home, like I don't want to come home. So I just like kind of slowly stopped going home, and which just got really, really, really sad my freshman year. And I had seen signs of like depression in my sister, obviously. So I knew it was kind of happening to me, and it was just because I was every single day chasing the weekend of like, when do I get to drink next, when do I get to smoke next, and like all these different things. So I was just chasing the world so heavily. And then I like went all through freshman year. Second semester, it got much worse. Like I was so sad and so miserable, hated being home, hated being at Furman, like basically had no identity in anything because like I was putting it in drinking and partying and all these things. So I came home for the summer, and it was May, I guess, when I came home, and my mom had searched she claimed she didn't search my room, but I think she did. She'll still claim that she didn't. But and found like some weed that I brought home, I guess, basically. And so I came home from like staying with my friends from high school for like 2 nights. And she like was like, Avery, can I talk to you? And I was like, sure. So she brought me into my room, placed the weed on the bed, and was like, this is why you're so different. This is like, she had a very strict no drugs, like in the house especially. And so she was just bawling, and she was like, I am a failure as a parent. I'm so disappointed in you. Like, I'm so disappointed in myself for like raising you this way. And hearing that she was disappointed is what like got me, because I didn't care about the weed. I didn't care that she like didn't like me. Like I was just so sad to hear like she felt like she had failed, because she was like, I failed like with all of you. Like I'm gonna fail with all of you, and it was just so sad. So I like lost it in that moment, and I think something just finally clicked where I was like, okay, I like need to get my life together. I need to like quit doing this. Like, what am I doing? I can't go back to Furman. And I was like, I'm not going to go back to Furman, whatever. And I forgot to add, for a few months, second semester of freshman year, my sister had been consistently inviting me to this Bible study that she had joined. And she was like, please like come to Bible study. And I was like, I'm saved when I was like 12. Like I'm good. And I thought people who were like super Christian were like so cringe. So I was like, no, like I'm so happy that you found that. And then it's like, she was like saying how like she's weaned off a lot of her meds and she's doing so much better. And I was like, that's so awesome, but like I don't need that. And after that moment with my mom, I was like, okay, like I guess I need to try something. Like I wasn't planning on like encountering the Lord, obviously. I was just planning on like, my mom will stop crying because I go to this Bible study, and like maybe it will help me a little bit like stop smoking, because I was like had a problem at that point. And so my sister was like, yes, come with me on Monday. Like I've been telling like all the girls that you're gonna come. And so I was like, okay, fine, like I'll go. And I was like not excited, but it's fine. So I get in the car with her, and it was like kind of far away. It was like a 40-minute drive. My Bible study was kind of far. But on the drive there, I was like super kind of emotional already. Like I was like, what's going on? Why am I so emotional? And I was driving with her, and I don't even remember what she was talking about. We were like listening to worship music, and I was just like kind of becoming overwhelmed, which I feel like is the Lord tugging at my heart for the first time. And I had been to church a few times freshman year with one of my friends in my sorority. She would bring me a lot. So I was like going through the motions. I was like going to church and like saying I was Christian and like doing all these things, but was just lacking like fulfillment. So, and I would like go to church hungover and like do all these terrible things. But anyways, I show up to this Bible study with my sister, and as soon as I walk in the door, I was like so emotional. Like I was like, why am I gonna cry right now? Like what's happening? And like all these women were like hugging me, and we're like, you're like, this is so awesome. We're so happy you're here. And I was like, wow, you guys are like so nice. And so we like sit down, and when someone new joined, I guess they each kind of like share a piece of like who they are. And like my sister had told me previously about each of them, and like all of them had these crazy stories about like one of my Bible study leaders like lost her daughter like 2 years prior, and then like all these people tell these like horrible things happen to them, and each of them were like talking to me about how good God is, and like how awesome he is, and like all these things, and like how he took these like broken things in their lives and made them beautiful. And I was just like bawling, because I was like, how are you guys saying he's good? Like your daughter's dead, and you're telling me that he's a good God? Like no,
that's real.
And so I was just like overwhelmed with all these things. And then my sister, I don't remember if it was after the Bible study or during, she like started telling me about how like she had struggled with like all these thoughts her whole life and all these things, and like struggled to like see a purpose in her life. And then when she finally like found the Lord, she like had a life purpose, and like he made everything so beautiful and like all these things. And so I'm just like bawling, because I'm like, oh my goodness, like he literally saved my sister's life, which is crazy to think about. But also, like, all these women, he, like, saved their lives. And they were all, like, in their 20s.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what is happening? And they were just going on preaching to me about how he, like, saves your life and how he changes everything and, like, how he gives you a life purpose. And I was, like, so sad at this point in my life that I was like, I will try anything. So, like, whatever drug these girls are on, like, give it to me. Like, this is, like, they seem so happy.
Right.
So I was just kind of, like, talking to my Bible study leader after. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I honestly wasn't even thinking, like, about it as a relationship with the Lord. I was like, I just want to try something to be happy, finally.
You want to be fixed.
Yes,
almost.
exactly. And I was like, I want something to make my life better, and these people say that this will, so I'm just going to give it a try.
Right.
And my Bible leader was, like, talking to me about, like, the process of, like, giving your life to the Lord and how it's a physical, like, letting go of control and giving it to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes no sense to me, but, like, okay, whatever. And she was like, pray. She kept telling me to pray. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. And she was like, just talk with him. And I was like, okay, sounds confusing, but I'll try.
Right.
So I go home that night, and I remember, like, getting on my knees by my bed, and I was like, if you are real, which I truly think, I hope that you are, because you literally saved my sister, whatever you did to her, will you please do it to me?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I woke up the next day and all of a sudden everything was healed. Like, that makes no sense. But it was like the slow process of like, okay, I said that prayer. I started consistently going to the Bible study. I started consistently, like, reading my Bible. My Bible study taught me how to, like, do a quiet time and, like, how to physically sit with him and, like, all these things I didn't even realize were, like, a thing. And it was like this slow process of, like, I formed this relationship with him. So this was the summer of my freshman year.
Okay.
And I, like, slowly formed this relationship over time. And it was like one morning I woke up. I remember being on my beach trip with my family. And, like, I feel like that week is when it really clicked. Because up until that point, I was like, okay, I'll do these things and I'll love Jesus. But I'll also, when I get back to Furman, I'll drink and smoke and do all these things.
Right.
But, like, I'll do both. And, like, because this is making me happy right now.
Yeah.
And on that beach trip with my family, I feel like it all hit me that, like, drinking and smoking and doing all these things were nowhere near as incredible as this feeling was, like, having Jesus in my life.
Right.
That it wasn't even like I need to stop these things because he says not to do them. It was, these things are nowhere near as good as this. I don't want anything to ever hurt this that I have, so I don't want to do those things anymore.
Right.
And so it was like this moment of, like, this, because it's like the same way you go in a relationship with a person. Like, you get to know them, you become friends, and then, like, this, like, beautiful relationship comes from it. It was like that. It was like a slow process.
Yeah. The, like, sanctification.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
just, like,
yes.
slowly getting closer to him.
Yes. And, like, I, like, feel that so heavily to where I guess you could say, like, my salvation moment was that prayer that I said.
Yeah.
But when I said that, I, like, wasn't even fully meaning what I was saying. I remember being like, I don't know if what I'm saying you're even listening to, but if you're real, show me. Right. And then it was like months of, like, okay, I'm going to give my all just to see if it's real.
Right.
And oh my goodness, it, like, so was. So on this beach trip with my parents, I was like, I cannot go back to Furman. Like, I love my community here. I love my Bible study. And that place was so broken for me. Like, it was just drinking and smoking, all these things. I don't really know that many Christian people. Like, oh my goodness, like, I can't go back there. So, but I was like, okay, I shouldn't make any harsh decisions without asking him first. Right. So this was, like, the first decision in my life where I was like, I'm going to ask him what I should do. Whoa. And so I was, like, praying about it so hard, and I just didn't feel at peace about leaving Furman. Because I knew that I was going to be living on, I joined a sorority, and I knew I was going to be living on the sorority hall with these girls that were, like, super awesome that I hadn't, like, formed relationships with yet. So I was like, okay, I can get to know them. I know a few girls who were, like, Christian. I could text them and be like, we'll be friends and, like, stuff like that. Yeah. So I did that, like, texted a few of my friends, and I was like, I know, like, we're not that close, but, like, I kind of, like, became a Christian over the summer, like, can you be friends when I go back? And I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks at Furman. If I'm miserable and, like, can't withstand the temptation of, like, not being able to drink and not smoking, then I'll transfer. So came back to Furman, and I cannot lie, it was very hard in the beginning, like, very, very hard, because, like, everyone who knew me as this person who was drinking, smoking, going out, doing all these things. Yeah. So when I all of a sudden came back, like, super Christian, they were just kind of like, what happened to you? Like, what? Yeah. But it was honestly the coolest thing ever, because I feel like people got to see, like, me so broken, and then I was taken away, healed, and then put back. Right. And everyone was like, whoa, like, what happened to you? Like, people would always ask, like, why'd you stop doing that? Right. And it was, like, the coolest mission field to be able to be like, this is why I don't do this anymore. Like, yes, he like, physically, like, healed me. Yeah. And it actually feels like when I think about freshman year, that I have, like, a new brain and, like, a new pair of eyes. Like, when I think about who I was during that time period, like, that was not me. Right. And, like, even my friends now who, like, didn't know me really freshman year will be like, I can't even fathom that you were like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, yeah, I know, I can't fathom that I was like
That's
that either.
crazy.
Like when he like says he makes you a new creation, like I feel that so heavily because like he does.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like we're made new when we like follow Jesus. It's like, what's the one where it's like he was reborn?
Yes.
And he was like, how am I reborn? Like I can't get back into my mother's
Yes,
womb.
but it feels like you
Yes,
are.
but then again in heaven, how we'll be completely made new. So then it's like for your story, it's like who we were broken, we're all broken.
Yeah.
And then you were made new in Christ, and now you're a new creation in Him. And then in heaven, like when you're made perfect with Him,
Like, is it
and we
goosebumps
all
to
are
think about?
like, it's like so made new. And
Yes, it's crazy.
how He turns broken things into beauty, like it's so cool. Like just the word like beautiful just keeps coming up of like your story's beautiful in that.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a
Him just
story
restoring.
there's a song called My Inheritance by Corey Ashby. Do you know who Corey
Yeah.
Ashby is? And there's like a line in it that says like he takes broken things and makes them new.
Yeah.
And I like cry every time I listen to
Yeah.
that song because like for a while I struggled with like so much shame of who I was. Like, because I'd like walk around campus and like all these people like who did know me, which no one was actually thinking about. Like, I remember when she was drinking. Like no one cares.
No.
But in my head it was like all these people know me as this like awful person because I like was so mean my freshman year.
Yeah.
That like I just was filled with so much shame about it.
Right.
But like knowing that like I can't be weighted down by that shame because first of all he forgave me. He
Yes.
died for me to be
Right.
made new in that, and also he does make me new. Like
Right.
I'm a new person now that I've like been washed clean.
Yes.
And like that's like been a sweet reminder why I've been back at Furman to just know that. And then also like new friendships and things have been like so amazing, and like finding community because I loved home so much because that Bible study became my community.
Yep.
And I was like, I can't leave them. Like they're so awesome. But I found like so much amazing community now. And then like I have so many new friends now who are like Christian and amazing and like totally helped me in my faith. And like it's just like incredible and has been awesome.
Yeah. I really like that too, of just like the shame. It's like we hold on to shame no more because He died for us. Like, and that's not fair to Him for us to like hold on to that. And so
dang, that's true.
just like releasing that. Yeah. Wait, what did you just say?
That's true. Like it's not fair to Him. That's a good point.
And just like releasing that daily, like Lord, like take this away from me.
It's a daily thing for sure.
Yeah, and then there was something else I wanted to say about that I don't remember. But just it's not like with shame we could do that forever, and then we're gonna this is what I'm gonna say. We're gonna keep sinning. Like it's not like that summer like you did all these things, whatever, and then this, and now you're never again. It's like no, it's this constant thing.
Oh my goodness,
constant forgiveness.
Yeah.
And made new in Him, every mercies are new every morning.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just what's like so sweet of just that, like the freedom in Him.
Yeah.
Oh, and this made me think of something else that you said. The coming back here, I think, is really cool because if you didn't come back here, like that'd been fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really cool about you coming back here because that shows like Him in control because He was able to give you the self-control.
Yeah, definitely.
And there still are temptations.
Yeah.
But He was able to give you self-control in that. And then it was like you weren't saved by your Bible study leader. You weren't saved by your sister. You weren't saved by this. You were saved by Jesus and Jesus alone.
Yeah.
And it probably like grew you in your faith a lot to be like forced to depend on Him.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I think that's just really cool.
Yeah.
Like you didn't run from the hard thing.
Definitely. And it was like a sweet the thing I was holding on to when I came back was knowing that like I was gonna be living on the hall with these new girls who like I like love them and they're awesome. And like also like I think I had this fear too that when I came back and was a believer now that people in my old life like would think that I was judging them because like I never want anyone to think that ever. Like all I wanted to do was make an attestment to this is what He did for me. He like genuinely saved my life. Yeah. But I do not like shame you for the way you're living your life or anything at all. Like no, I'm just like want to talk about this. Yes. And so I had this fear that would happen, but that's like been so amazing and awesome and so many answered prayers. People who like want to ask questions and they care about it because like they care about me. Right. And like I still have so many friends that I had freshman year and like we're still so close and things. We just like live different lifestyles. Right. But yeah, it was like so amazing. And it's also beautiful. Like, yes, my sister didn't save me, my Bible study didn't save me, but they were like broken people who like brought me to Him. Yes. So it's like
and God uses broken people.
Exactly. Yeah. Which was like sweet for my Bible study leader to tell me those exact words because I think I felt like unequipped in a lot of areas when I came back to Furman and like being a young life leader, like I felt so unequipped or like things like that. And my Bible study leader like reminded me like, yes, we're like technically not equipped, like we're so broken, but like He uses us and He uses broken people. Yeah. And it's like so sweet and a certain reminder to know that like I can be a young life leader and like a lot of girls are about to go to college and like they're gonna experience the same things that like I experienced, the temptations and things, for them to know that like I've been there, like if they're in those moments, like they can
Right.
talk to me, and it's like
Yes.
really sweet.
Yeah. And
So,
just
yeah.
like that, it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
I think
goodness.
that's just so interesting. Of like, so often when I chase the things of this world, because I think it gives like the instant like high or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, now I'm left.
Yeah.
In
You
a
left
darker
so
place
much
than
more
I
empty.
was.
Yeah. I think that totally was it too. Like in high school, I think I put my identity so much in like I played volleyball and I had a boyfriend for 4 years, all of high school. So I like had a boyfriend, my friends, volleyball, and like my identity was so rooted in that, which I think is like common in high school.
Yeah.
And then I came to Furman with no one from high school, and then me and the boyfriend broke up, and I stopped playing volleyball. So it was like, oh my goodness, like who am I? And then I was like filling the void with like doing like getting drunk all the time, getting high all the time, going out all the time, and like it was just so unfulfilling to me, and I just was so sad. Like I just kept feeling sad.
Yeah.
Like it was like the more I did it, the more empty I was becoming.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was like honestly, I feel like kind of the Lord to like break me in such a way to where I couldn't help but turn to Him. Like I had no other way to go.
Like anything.
Yeah.
Right. Just like in desperation.
Exactly.
And then now as believers, like we still in desperation need to go to Him.
Oh, definitely.
And in the good times,
Mm-hmm.
like in the good seasons, and the time where everything is going right.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Still go to Him.
Have you read The Praying Like Monks Living Like Fools?
No, but you're the third person today. That
Oh
said
my
that.
gosh. Okay, that's a sign that's the Lord telling me to read it, because it is when I came back to Furman, I like had this devotional book I was the leader had given me, and she was like, okay, like quiet times are gonna be so important because like you're in a world of temptation, whatever.
Right.
And I started reading that book, and what you just said reminded me of it, because in the book it talks about how like he related it to a life of prayer as a life like a romance movie. Like in the beginning when you first get saved, and in the beginning of a romance movie, it's like passionate and fun and so much love, and like in the Notebook you see like them so in love, and then the end of the movie is them old dying together. We don't see the in the middle of years of having kids and years of what's considered boring.
Right.
Yes. And so he was like, a life of prayer is the same. In the beginning, when you first have your salvation, it's like a spark and it's fun and it's awesome. And then we see these like older people who have been in their faith for 70 years and they're so wise.
Yes.
But no one sees like this in the middle when times are good and things considered boring. And it was talking about how like the Lord craves us more like in those moments where things seem boring and like good and like we don't actually like feel like we need Him, even though we do. Because if we go to Him in those moments, that's how we become the old wise 70-year-old with all the information and like a super strong relationship with the Lord.
So good.
You know what I mean? He like made it like this romance movie, and I was like, that's so true, because all we see is the beginning and the end. No one talks about the boring in the middle.
Whoa, that's so good.
It was
awesome. That really is. Mary Garcia was like, we were walking today, and she was like, I have this book in my book bag.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
That would have made me laugh. Okay, I'll order it on Amazon.
It is so amazing. It like changes your prayer life too, because like obviously like being new in my faith, like I didn't realize how important prayer was, because like I grew up like my parents would like pray like before meals and stuff, but I was just like closing my eyes and like or like looking around and stuff. When I like learned like the power behind prayer and like how he like listens to what we're saying and like we have a say in what He does, like changed everything for me.
That's so good.
Like it was like crazy. But yeah. And then to see like to see like my family's faith now like blossoming so much and like all of us doing it together is like so
that is so cool. And just the Lord restoring that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And making that new, and just even like how you said like your sister grew up. Just to see that, and like I don't know how that imagine being like the little sister watching that. But just like I can't imagine what that looked like. But then now to see that restored too,
it's
has
crazy
to be so
awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so cool.
awesome. And then even like this past week with the hurricane, like I'm from a place that was like
hit
very hard, and like to see the Lord like using it to reach people that like do not know Him has been like so cool. I feel like when times are like almost like the more broken you are, it's easier to see Him. Because like you're just looking for something to save you.
And then it's like goes with we're about to be done. It goes with your story of like the broken, like how you were saying like brokenness, walkingness, and then you realize you need Jesus and stuff like this. It's like to be broken, to then be fixed and realize that we're broken. Awesome. Then that's when we know we need somebody to come and fix us.
That's a good point. That realizing we're broken. That's the first step, because people don't really want to do that.
Because if you don't realize you're broken, then why do you think you need to save?
Yeah. Whoa, good point.
But thanks for sharing your story.
Oh,
that is so cool and so encouraging. Like even just like watching that and being somewhere, maybe like people listening to or might be in a situation too, but just like being somewhere where there's a lot of non-believers, but then hearing a story like yours of just like the hope, there's still hope, and to keep loving people well, and not to force it on them, but just to love people well. And
the people I remembered, like whenever I was gonna not come back to Furman, I was like, no, I know this girl, this girl, this girl, and I know that they're Christian.
Yes.
So like being out there, people knowing your faith, like
Right.
it's gonna help someone.
And so I think that's just really sweet and just like gives hope of like, okay, it's not a far off idea.
No.
It's like
No one's too far gone.
No, never. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having me on. This was
And
so
you'll
much
probably
fun.
have to come back because I feel like I could have like 25 more questions.
Yes, let's do it. I'll come back anytime.
Part 2.
This is my favorite thing to talk about.
It's so cool.
I can write a book.
Write a book.
I should honestly.
Do it.
I'd be a terrible author.
Nah. So, this was my shameless plug. If you haven't ordered my book yet, you can order it on Amazon. It's called Oh Honey. It is released
you have a
the
book?
22nd. Yeah, it looks like it's new. Like
I'm
it hasn't
ordering
released
it.
yet.
Okay, I'm so excited.
So it's releasing the 22nd, but you can pre-order it now.
I'm pre-ordering now.
But I haven't said it on the podcast yet, and I was like, I don't want to be that girl, but I'm gonna be that girl. So it's called Oh Honey.
Oh honey, okay, I'm ordering it.
You can order it.
22nd. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I can't wait to read it.
And so nervous, but that's okay.
It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to read it.
And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.